I'm Mikael Refutation, and I'm here to discuss the claim that renewable energy, about the fact that discuss the claim that renewable energy is a more more economically beneficial than fossil fuels. Now, I'm not going to deny the fact that renewable energy is becoming more beneficial than fossil fuels. However, while it is becoming more beneficial, there are still several issues and barriers that need to be dealt with and answered. Now, in first supporting my statement, says that the renewable energy sector creates new jobs in the United States economy. And while renewable energy source is making new jobs for the economy, there's still a question of how effective those jobs are and how the economy might respond to those new jobs. Now, according to a group called the Unit of Concerned Scientists, they stated that renewable energy jobs require high amounts of education due to the fact that renewable energy requires installation, operation, and maintenance. And that workers need to be trained to install, operate, and maintain new technologies. In other words, education for these workers is a high priority, which costs time and money. And that it goes on to say that some renewable jobs need operating experience in different regional climate conditions before performance can be optimized. An example that they give is that the Monadnock station for wind turbines is likely different on the New England ridgelines than the actual real landscape of the Midwest. And in terms of the economy is likely to lead the cost of reduction for wind, fuel cell, and biomass technologies. Unfortunately, as long as relatively few units are produced, prices will remain high. In other words, it would just be ridiculous amount of money expect for this technology while beneficial is beneficial for no one, according to them. And in terms of manufacturing of new technology, manufacturing of the new technologies is too quick. It can create its own problems, such as shortage of skilled labor and bottleneck and part supplies. In other words, parts will be all over the place, and there'll be high demand. While there's high demand for skilled labor, they can't match up to the supply out for it. For the second claim, investment in renewable energy in the United States is growing, while investment for energy groups and jobs are growing. The technology itself, the issue is the technology itself. Now, according to the renewable policy and the research that I did on the market, it indicates that while people are willing to pay for public benefits, then their economic theory first thought. However, there's still investment problems in technology where much of the payback does not apply to the individual market. And the investment will always be less than optimal investment for the society as a whole. And also, all technology will be brought onto a grid. In other words, 2/3 of the electrical product would be used for commercial and industrial consumers. And while some of these consumers may also pay for more when large sources, many will opt not to because they're still paying out of pocket for what they're paying for right now. So there's no difference in consumer eye. The last thing that they give is that renewable energy is cheaper than non-renewable energy, and while renewable energy technology itself is cheaper, the switch to it is anything but. According to the Global Environmental Facility in Washington, D.C., the transition cost, there's actually something called the transition cost, such as projects like switching from renewable energy would require additional information that is not always available to the workers, and would require extra time or attention to financing or permitting because of how unfamiliar a development group could understand technology and how it could potentially perform or not perform at all because they don't know how it operates. Which is why the transition cost would actually be a very significant issue. The facility goes on to say that there's there's also a lack of credit. Consumer and it mentions consumers or project developers may lack access to credit to the purchase or investments in renewable energy because of the lack of control in the distorted capital markets. In in which you go, it is known which way how it will operate. In rural areas, in fact, such as in rural areas, and households in rural areas, feel renewable energy systems may not exist or even needed. Well, not needed, but it's really hard to come by for them. And available loans that could be given to for this technology to become more prevalent may be too short-lived due to the fact that equipment may last several lifetimes. So there's the issue of the loan and investment sum of it. Again, overall, I'm not disagreeing that the fact that renewable energy is becoming more preferable than fossil fuel. However, there are still going to be issues that we do before we jump into it. And overall, the issue is education, a lack of education for consumers and the technology and choices that we need to think about. That concludes my rebuttal.
All right, well, you labeled the main claim clearly. The secondary claims, I think, got a little bit swallowed up in the presentation. At first, I thought you were making a reference to nuclear energy, and then it turns out that it's new energy. So I think that there needs to be a little bit more clarity in the way it's being presented. It sounds like there are 2 or 3 issues that are barriers to new energy utilization on a widespread level. We have a price point that we're talking about. We have education issues that are being discussed to some degree, and then there's some confidence in the investment by businesses that is a little bit problematic. These are all good counterclaims to be presenting, but they need to be presented as counterclaims. You don't basically acknowledge anything that the advocate said on their arguments. So in essence, you're conceding all of those points, and you're going to depend on the counterclaims to be sufficient to raise doubt about the viability of renewable energy. I think that that's a dangerous strategy. If you've got a good argument that's well developed and a good example of countercausality, for instance, then I think maybe you can sustain it. But it's not always that clear cut in your argument. Sometimes the issues that you're talking about are a little bit vague. For example, the investment policy issue on the second point, it sounded like it was a question of whether or not people could estimate the costs and figure out what was going on, but I couldn't even tell which industry was being referred to here. And sometimes it sounds like you were quoting evidence without giving us a source citation. Sometimes I think you're making an argument, and I can't tell if that was evidence that was being presented. So it needs to be a little bit more clearly presented. I don't want to jump on you too much, but you have a tendency to talk down, talk fast, and you get your mouth closed. So I don't want to sound like somebody's dad, bitching about it. Have you heard this before from other people?
Well, I get nervous.
Yeah. So it might be an anxiety thing. You need to slow down a little bit. You need to look up a little bit, and you need to project a little bit more, because sometimes I think you're rushing through things, and it's harder to pick out the things that you're saying. It's not impossible, but it's harder to do. And when people have to work harder, their brains don't automatically check in the way you want them to. So that'd be the thing that I think you need to work on the most. I like the counterclaims that you have. I'm just not sure that you want to rely on those. And I think you'd be a little bit careful about conceding the notion that renewables are automatically better. There are problems with, depending upon what the renewable is, each one has its individual problems, and there may be issues. I don't remember if the advocate spoke about particular renewable energy sources, and that would have been maybe a way to break that down a bit. Okay, thank you.